They say the world doesn't end with a bang, but with a whisper. Mine ended with a doorbell. It was a Sunday, quiet, uneventful, the kind where your biggest plans revolve around a grilled cheese and whether or not you'll bother folding laundry. I was halfway through a rerun of Jeopardy when the chime echoed through the house. One of those polite little rings. The kind that doesn't scream urgency, just presence. I opened the door, and there he was. Khakis. Polo shirt. Nervous smile. The guy looked like he sold life insurance or played pickup soccer with coworkers who actually enjoyed team-building retreats. But I knew that face. Not his. Hers. There was a resemblance. Just enough to freeze the blood in my arms. "Hi," he said. "Is Monica home?" My wife's name. I stared at him for a beat too long. "She's not." "Who are you?" His smile faltered like I'd stepped off script. "I'm Cody. I work with her. At the hospital." That would have made sense if Monica worked at a hospital. "She's a financial analyst," I said flatly. Cody blinked. "Oh, well, I didn't realize maybe she left that job." I didn't answer. I didn't need to. The silence did the math for both of us. "I should go," he said quickly, already backing off the porch like he'd stepped into the wrong movie. But I'd seen enough. The color of his eyes. The way his voice softened on her name. It wasn't just an affair. It was an assumption. The kind of familiarity that doesn't happen overnight. He wasn't guessing where she worked. He was covering for a lie she told him. I closed the door without another word. Inside, the living room felt foreign. Every framed photo of us suddenly looked staged. Even the air had changed. Like it knew. Monica got home 2 hours later, holding a bag of groceries and humming like she hadn't just set my whole life on fire. I watched her from the kitchen. "I ran into Cody today," I said casually. The hum stopped. She didn't drop the groceries. Didn't drop the lie, either. Just adjusted her grip on the bag of apples and said, "Cody who?" And that, right there, was the moment I knew. I'd heard people talk about betrayal like a lightning strike, something that knocks you to your knees in one moment. But for me, it was quieter. Like snow on the roof. You don't notice the weight until something caves in. I didn't scream. I didn't accuse. I smiled. That was scarier than anything I could have said. "Cody who?" she asked again. This time, she looked at me, really looked, and saw something unfamiliar behind my calm. That smile wasn't relief. It was recognition. The way you smile when you realize the riddle's answer was right in front of you the whole time. She set the grocery bag down too gently. Like it might explode. Or I might. "Hospital guy," I said, still leaning on the counter, arms crossed. Tall. Polo shirt. Great bone structure. Definitely not a financial analyst. She didn't blink. Didn't flinch. Just shifted into damage control like a politician at a press conference. "He must be confused," she said. Confused. Right. The man knew her well enough to find our address and ring our doorbell on a Sunday afternoon. But sure, he got confused about her entire career. "You should have seen his face," I said. He looked like he thought he was at his own house. That one landed. Monica pulled out a chair and sat slowly, like gravity had changed for her. "What do you want me to say?" she asked. Not tearfully. Not apologetically. Just tired. "Try the truth," I said. She exhaled, long, heavy, theatrical. "It's not what you think." Classic. She didn't even have the creativity to come up with a new script. I tilted my head. "Then by all means, enlighten me. What is it?" She stared at her hands, thumbs circling her wedding ring like she was trying to remember what it symbolized. "We talked a lot. That's all." "Talked," I repeated. "You gave a guy your address, told him you work at a hospital, and what? Compared favorite TED Talks?" Her silence said everything. My heartbeat didn't even spike. The worst part of betrayal isn't the moment it happens. It's the moment you realize they were capable of it the whole time. I stood. She looked up. "Are you leaving?" "Not yet." "Then what are you doing?" "Starting the clock," I said. "This is the countdown. You've got until I decide what version of me you're going to remember." I walked past her, not angry, not defeated, just done pretending. There's a moment every man hits when dignity becomes more important than peace. And I just arrived. There's a certain clarity that comes with betrayal. Not in the Hallmark movie, New Lease on Life kind of way. No. It's colder. Sharper. Like ice water to the face at 4 a.m. I didn't sleep that night. I didn't pace or punch walls or scream into the void. I just watched her. Monica moved around the house like a stranger, like someone walking through a dream they knew was about to turn into a nightmare. She'd peek into the room, pretend to adjust a pillow, linger near the coffee machine like small appliances might soften me. I didn't bite. I sat there, silent, calculating. That's when the text started. At first, they came in slow, one every few hours. Then faster. Can we talk? You haven't touched your dinner. I didn't mean for it to be this way. That one made me laugh. Not out loud, just a sharp breath through the nose, the kind of laugh you give when someone tries to hand you a Band-Aid after they've run you over with a truck. The next morning, I brewed 2 cups of coffee. One for me, one for her. Just like always. She blinked when I set it down in front of her. You made me coffee? Clock's still ticking, I said, sipping mine. Might as well enjoy the last few minutes. Don't do that, she whispered. Don't act like I'm the villain. You're not the villain, I said calmly. You're the plot twist. She didn't respond. Just stared into her mug like it might explain how we got here. Spoiler, it wouldn't. Later that day, I opened a folder on my laptop. One labeled, If She Ever. A little insurance I'd been building over the years, not because I thought she'd cheat, but because I knew she could. Call it pessimism. Call it pattern recognition. Emails. Financial statements. Her little business trips to nowhere towns. A copy of the lease to a post office box in her maiden name. Photos of Cody, nothing scandalous, just enough to ask the right questions. I wasn't planning revenge. Not yet. I was preparing the terrain. See, Monica always thought I was too calm, too accommodating. She called it boring. I called it chess. And every man playing chess knows, you don't move the queen until the king's ready to fall. It's funny how silence makes people squirm more than shouting ever could. By Wednesday, Monica was trying to stage a comeback. She cooked my favorite meal, chicken piccata, heavy on the capers, just the way I liked it. She even played that jazz playlist I once said reminded me of our honeymoon in Charleston. I guess she thought nostalgia was a form of CPR. I took one bite, chewed politely, and said nothing. Say something, she finally whispered. I set my fork down gently. You're a little heavy on the lemon tonight. Her eyes widened like I just declared war. But I didn't raise my voice, didn't throw the plate, didn't cry. I just got up, rinsed my dish, and walked into the den. That's the thing cheaters never plan for, composure. They expect an explosion. They brace for rage, chaos, an emotional outburst that lets them play the victim. But when you rob them of that, when you give them nothing, it messes with their script. And Monica? She was way off script now. By Friday, the facade cracked. I was folding laundry, yes, the great sock folder himself, when she dropped it. Are you going to forgive me or not? No. She blinked, like that wasn't on her menu of possible responses. No. I folded a towel with clinical precision. You didn't ask for forgiveness. You asked to move past it. That's different. You're punishing me. No, I said, laying the towel flat. I'm just not volunteering for round 2. She stood there, arms folded, the corners of her mouth twitching. We can fix this. You can't fix a vase you intentionally knocked off the table, I said. You just sweep it up and hope nobody steps on the shards. She threw up her hands. So what now? You're just going to keep making passive-aggressive comments? Act like a martyr while you collect evidence for your big gotcha moment. I turned slowly, letting that land. Funny you mention evidence. Her face drained. What does that mean? It means I'm not a martyr. I'm a historian. And I've been keeping records. She laughed, a brittle, desperate sound. You've been spying on me? No, I said calmly. You've been leaving breadcrumbs. I just wrote down where they led. She turned and left the room. And that was when I knew the war had officially begun. I didn't pack a bag. Not yet. That would have been obvious. Instead, I started making strategic withdrawals from our joint account. Small amounts, nothing to raise red flags. I opened a private account through a bank she didn't use, moved a few documents from the safe into my briefcase, and made an appointment with a lawyer who worked out of a converted dental office. She had a lava lamp in the waiting room and 3 degrees on her wall. My kind of person. You want a divorce? She asked. Not yet. Then what do you want? Options, I said. She nodded. Smart man. Monica didn't notice a thing. She was too busy playing the long game of denial, smiling in public, posting throwbacks of us on social media like she hadn't just shattered the foundation 2 weeks prior. The caption under a photo of us in Santa Fe, still my best friend. Still us. I didn't like the word still. It felt like a negotiation. A plea. Still. As if loyalty was a technicality. Saturday morning, I went for a jog. Not because I needed the cardio, but because that's where Monica assumed I was every weekend at 8 a.m. Instead, I drove to a small print shop downtown. The guy behind the counter was maybe 20, with a man bun and a t-shirt that said pixelated but optimistic. I handed him a flash drive. How soon can you print these? He scrolled through the folder. His eyebrows rose. A personal project? Very. He nodded like he understood more than I was willing to explain. You want glossy or matte? Matte, I said. Glossy feels too much like a revenge album cover. He grinned. Respect. 20 minutes later, I left with an envelope. Inside, 12 photos. Nothing graphic. Just inconvenient truths. Screenshots. A credit card receipt from a hotel Monica said she'd never stayed in. A selfie she sent to Cody that I'd intercepted through a cloud sync glitch. A screenshot of a message where she wrote, "He still has no clue. It's almost too easy." Each image, quiet. Damning. Clean. I didn't send them anywhere. Not yet. They were the bullets in a gun I hadn't drawn. But I wanted her to know it existed. That night, we went to a dinner party hosted by our friends Jason and Lila. Monica wore that red dress with the back I liked. I wondered if Cody had seen it too. The thought didn't make me angry. It just made me strategic. Halfway through the evening, as everyone laughed over wine and charcuterie, Jason made a toast. To Monica and Greg. The couple that makes the rest of us believe in sticking it out. Everyone cheered. Monica beamed. I smiled too. And when the room settled, I raised my glass. Here's to transparency. May we always be exactly who we say we are, even when no one's looking. She froze. Lila blinked. That's poetic, isn't it? I said, sipping my wine. Monica didn't speak to me the entire ride home. But that was fine. Because now, she knew I wasn't just hurt. I was aware. And awareness, unlike forgiveness, doesn't expire. It's strange how easy it is to share a bed with someone you no longer trust. You lie side by side like two statues from a better exhibit, backs turned, breath sinking only out of old habit. That night, after the dinner party, Monica crawled under the covers without a word. She didn't touch me. Didn't try. I think part of her finally understood that I wasn't playing chicken. I wasn't bluffing, stalling, or waiting to be begged. I wasn't leaving because I was staying for something bigger. Monica underestimated me in the same way you underestimate the quiet guy at the poker table. The one who doesn't drink, doesn't joke, doesn't flinch. The one who folds with grace until suddenly he doesn't. And tonight, I was holding cards. The next morning, I opened a new note on my phone and typed a name, Jordan Hale. Jordan was a mutual friend. Not close, but visible. Harmless, as Monica once described him. Harmless, in my experience, is a word people use when they don't want you to ask questions. I'd seen him comment on her posts more often lately. Inside jokes. A wink emoji here, a miss this there. It was all technically innocent, which is what made it so insidious. Cheating isn't always a hotel room. Sometimes, it's the slow erosion of intimacy. The little pieces of attention you once owned now being mailed to someone else, bit by bit. I scrolled through Monica's Instagram again, pausing on one of her work retreats. The background gave it away. A blue ceramic mug from a cafe she once told me was our spot. But she was with him. She'd taken someone else to our spot. It's funny what sticks. That afternoon, I printed a second envelope. Smaller this time. Just one photo inside. Monica in that cafe. With Jordan. Laughing. Her hand on his. A timestamp in the corner. I left it on her car seat. Nothing else. No note. No context. Just a message that whispered, I know. When she saw it, I was already on the patio, sipping coffee and pretending to care about my hydrangeas. She walked out slowly, envelope in hand. Her expression the kind you wear when you're walking into a courtroom without a lawyer. You went through my phone? No, I said. You went through our memories. Her voice wavered. It was just coffee. I nodded. So it was the one I brought you when you got promoted. The one I held in a to-go tray while standing in the rain, waiting outside your office. She looked away. Funny how it means different things depending on who's holding the cup. I didn't sleep with him, she said quickly. I didn't ask. Her eyes darted up. Don't you want to know? I took another sip. No. I want you to ask yourself why I don't. That shut her up. She stood there for a while. Envelope clutched like a confession that hadn't been read aloud yet. Then she walked back inside. A smart man once told me that love doesn't end in hate. It ends in indifference. I didn't hate Monica. I just stopped hoping. I'd like to say that gave me peace, but that would be poetic. And life isn't poetic. It's paperwork. Schedules. Google Calendar events like therapy and dinner with parents that become ironic footnotes to a life unraveling. The next week, I met with our accountant. I need to separate our finances, I said, quietly. He raised a brow. Divorce. Eventually, I said, but not yet. Right now, I'm just making space. He didn't ask for details. Just handed me a pen. That night, Monica was waiting in the kitchen when I got home. The air smelled like burned garlic and something desperate. I made dinner, she said. Thanks. We sat in silence. She served herself first, then me. It was a pasta dish I used to love. Keyword, used to. Halfway through the meal, she said it. I think we should talk to someone. A therapist? She nodded. Yeah, like a couples counselor. We owe it to ourselves. No, I said gently. Her fork paused. No, I repeated. We owe it to ourselves to admit when something's over. Her face collapsed. Not dramatically. Just crumpled like a napkin too damp to hold its shape. I don't want to give up, she whispered. You gave up when you let someone else feel at home in the space we built. She didn't cry. Monica rarely cried. She was more the type to fix her eyeliner before emotion could touch it. I made a mistake, she said. A few, maybe. But I never stopped loving you. That's the problem, I said. You think love is enough. The following morning, I got a text from Jordan Hale. We need to talk. Please. I didn't reply, but I did drive to his office. I waited until he left for lunch, followed his car 2 blocks, and parked across from the diner where he ordered a grilled cheese and a root beer. He looked nervous, like a man waiting to be punched by fate. I didn't approach him. I just watched. Then I drove home. That night, Monica brought up the envelope. Did you leave that on my seat to hurt me? No, I said. I left it there so you'd understand what silence looks like when it's telling the truth. She didn't respond. I took the last bite of my dinner, rinsed my plate, and said, 3 weeks. 3 weeks for what? To decide where you're going. Because in 3 weeks, I'm filing. And if you're still here, I'll assume you want the public version. Her mouth dropped slightly. Public. I nodded. The photos. The receipts. The timeline. You think I'm quiet because I'm weak, Monica. But I'm quiet because I'm collecting. She stepped back, like the words had weight. And they did. They were a promise. And I always keep my promises. 3 weeks. That was the deadline. I didn't circle it on a calendar or mention it again. I didn't need to. The number hung in the air between us, unspoken but thunderous. Monica started walking on eggshells. She asked how my day was, made small talk about coworkers I didn't care about, and offered to do laundry, which was new. She hadn't touched a laundry basket in years. But now? Now she was folding my shirts with the desperation of a woman who thought fabric softener could erase betrayal. I didn't thank her. I didn't stop her either. Let her try. You'd be amazed at what a cheater will do when they realize their exit music is already playing. She even called my mother. Just to check in, she said, like that hadn't been a bridge she napalmed 5 Christmases ago. She sounded different, my mom said later on the phone, like someone who knew her seat at the table was about to be reassigned. I told her not to worry, because by then, I had a plan. Week 1 was about surveillance. I mirrored her phone, legally questionable, morally airtight. All I wanted was confirmation. Not because I needed more pain. I had enough of that. What I needed now was pattern. And oh, did I get one? There was no Cody. Not anymore. But there were others. A guy named Trevor. A couple messages from someone saved as Laura who ended every text with babe. Another man in her DMs who sent her a playlist titled Songs That Feel Like You. She responded with a heart emoji. That one stung. Not because it was romantic. Because it was lazy. She was cheating with copy-paste affection. Week 2 was about detachment. I moved half my clothes into storage. Rented a climate-controlled unit under my cousin's name. I boxed up books, files, backups of backups. Clean exits require clean beginnings. I didn't take anything she'd miss, just the pieces of myself she never bothered to learn the value of. I even cleared the old home videos from the shared drive. I watched one of them alone in the unit, headphones in, laptop on my knees. It was our 3rd anniversary. She was trying to teach me how to dance in the kitchen. We were terrible. We laughed the entire time. I paused the video on her smile. That version of her, the one in the oversized hoodie with flour on her nose, she was long gone. If she ever existed at all. By the middle of week 3, she knew. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. She came into the kitchen one night, barefoot, holding a glass of wine like it was a shield. Her eyes were puffy, mascara clinging to the tips of her lashes. Are you going to leave? She asked. I kept drying the dishes. You said 3 weeks. I nodded. Have you made up your mind? I made it up the day you said Cody was confused. Her voice dropped. I was scared. You weren't scared. You were arrogant. She didn't argue. That's when she sat down. Hard. Like her knees couldn't carry the weight anymore. I didn't know how far gone I was, she said. I didn't realize I was bleeding out until I looked around and saw nobody holding pressure to the wound. That line might have worked if I hadn't already found her backup bandage. 4 of them. So you stitched yourself to someone else? I asked. Repeatedly. She closed her eyes. I know I don't deserve anything. But if there's any part of you, any piece, that still sees the girl you married, I'm asking for a lifeline. I looked at her for a long time. Not the way I used to. Not the way I should. I looked at her like she was a biography I'd already finished. One I didn't need to reread. There's no lifeline, I said quietly. There's just the shore you swam away from. The morning of the 3rd Sunday, I was gone. No fight. No speech. No bags at the door. I left the keys on the counter with a note that said only, you had 3 weeks. I had 13 years. There was no address. No forwarding info. Just silence. I didn't go far. Not at first. I watched from a distance. Figuratively, I mean. I didn't stalk. I just monitored. You'd be surprised how loud someone's digital trail becomes when they think they're no longer being heard. Monica posted a photo the following Wednesday. A plate of pasta. A glass of red. The caption, starting fresh. Fresh. That's what betrayal becomes when you serve it with a garnish. The comments were sympathetic. Friends posted hearts. A cousin wrote, you've got this, girl. Only one comment stood out. Jordan Hale. Dinner looks perfect. You deserve that. I took a screenshot and smiled. Not because I was bitter, because I was ready. See, that's the difference between revenge and justice. Revenge is loud, sloppy, temporary. Justice is patient. It wears a suit. It shows receipts. The folder I'd built over weeks was now a PDF portfolio. Timestamped messages, images, logs, a list of names, dates, inconsistencies. It was clean, admissible, ready. I didn't send it to her. I sent it to her lawyer. Because 2 weeks before I left, I'd quietly filed. Initiated the process under a clause in our prenup Monica had long forgotten. Infidelity clause. A tidy little line that said, in the event of verifiable extramarital activity, the injured party shall retain 80% of joint liquid assets. She signed it 12 years ago, in cursive, with a heart above her eye. I hadn't touched it since. Until now. Now I touched everything. By the time her lawyer reached out with a trembling voice and a settlement suggestion, I was already 3 states away. New job, new apartment, new keys on a new counter. I hadn't spoken to Monica since the day I left. She emailed once. Subject, can we at least talk? I didn't reply. Instead, I attached the photo of her and Jordan, with a note underneath. You said you were starting fresh. So did I. There's a silence that follows a perfect move. Not the awkward kind. Not the fearful kind. I'm talking about the kind of silence you get after a chessboard's cleared and the king is tipped, and all the pieces just stop. The silence of checkmate. That's the silence Monica had to sit in after I sent the photo. Her reply came 48 hours later. You win. 2 words. No punctuation. No apology. Just a quiet admission that she finally understood this wasn't a fight she could cry her way out of or charm her way through. And me? I didn't feel victorious. I felt clean. It's a weird thing, watching someone who once knew your middle name and your coffee order now speak to you like a stranger in a courtroom hallway. The woman who used to rest her head on my chest during thunderstorms now sent emails signed with just her first name. As if Monica was a brand she was relaunching without my involvement. My lawyer smiled when she read the settlement offer. She's trying to hold on to her dignity, she said, which usually means she has none left. I didn't say anything. Dignity was never Monica's strength. Appearances were. 3 weeks after the photo exchange, I got a call. Unknown number. I almost didn't pick up, but something told me to answer. Greg. The voice was soft. Tentative. Female. Yes. This is Lana. Monica's sister. Oh. We hadn't spoken in 5 years. She was always the quiet one at Thanksgiving. The one Monica called a little too sensitive. I wanted to say I'm sorry, Lana said. I know it's not my place, but I didn't know how bad things were. And now she trailed off. I waited. She's not okay, Lana finally said. I closed my eyes, leaned back in my chair. The air felt heavier suddenly. She says you're punishing her. No, I said. I'm preserving myself. Lana was quiet a long moment. Then she said, she's losing friends. People are starting to figure it out. She thought I'd keep her secrets. I said. She was wrong. You're not angry? No. That's almost scarier. I know. She sighed. I just wanted you to hear it from someone besides her. She's unraveling, Greg. She still thinks this is a story she can fix in post-production. That made me smile, sadly. Tell her the credits already rolled. 1 month after the divorce was finalized, I walked past our old house. Not intentionally. I was in town for work. One of those awkward regional conferences with too much name-tag small talk and bad coffee. I had a couple hours to kill and found myself on our old street. The house looked the same. Her car was gone, but the porch light was on, even though the sun hadn't set. I wondered if she left it on out of habit, or if she still hadn't learned to live in darkness. There were no curtains in the front window, just empty space where a sofa used to be. She hadn't replaced it. I stood across the street for 5 minutes. Didn't move. Didn't cry. Didn't wave. Then I turned and walked away. The house didn't call out. The memory didn't bite. It just stood there, like a museum of what once was, and what never will be again. One night, I got a voicemail. Not a call. A message. Her voice was quieter now. Not the confident Monica who wore stilettos in the kitchen and called the shots in every argument. This voice was softer. Cracked. I just wanted to hear your voice, she said. I know you won't call. I know I gave that up. But if you're wondering, I'm not okay. I thought you should know. I didn't respond. Because the truth is, her being not okay wasn't my responsibility anymore. She spent years building a story where I was background noise. The quiet man. The dependable one. The boring part of her excitement-hungry life. But the thing about background noise? Once it stops, the silence becomes deafening. And silence is what I gave her. 3 months later, I got another message. This one from Cody. I didn't know, he wrote. I just wanted you to hear it from me. I didn't reply. What would I say? Thanks for your service? Appreciate the home wrecking. Good luck with her Netflix password. Cody wasn't the villain. He was the mirror. The kind that shows you the face your partner only wears when they're not with you. By the end of the year, Monica moved out of the house. She sold it for less than we paid. Word got back to me through Lana. Apparently she'd downsized. Said she wanted less space to echo in. And me? I got promoted. Moved cities. Started painting again, badly, but with enthusiasm. I even met someone. Not romantically. Not yet. Just coffee with someone who laughed like they hadn't been hollowed out. We didn't talk about trauma. We talked about books. About dogs. About how people mistake peace for emptiness. I told her, silence is the sound of healing. She said, that's the most poetic thing I've ever heard a man say while eating an everything bagel. I laughed, and it felt real. Not like a performance. Not like a rebound. Like a beginning. Sometimes I wonder if Monica ever tells the full truth now. If she ever says, I had a good man and I lost him. I doubt it. People like her don't confess. They curate. She probably tells her version. That I was distant. That I overreacted. That we just grew apart. But maybe, on quiet nights, in the space where no one is watching, she remembers how I used to bring her coffee without asking. How I folded her sweaters the way she liked. How I never yelled, even when she handed me betrayal on a silver platter. And maybe that's what keeps her up now. Not the loss. The way I left with dignity. The way I never looked back. It was a rainy Tuesday when the final piece arrived in the mail. A certified letter forwarded from our old address, with Monica's name in the corner. I almost tossed it. Almost. But curiosity has teeth, and this one had been gnawing quietly at the edge of my piece for weeks. Inside was a note. Not handwritten. Typed. Like an invoice. Greg, there's no spin left. No one else to blame. I just want you to know, you were never boring. You were steady. And I mistook that for weakness because I didn't understand how rare that is. I thought chaos was excitement. Turns out, it's just noise. And I've had enough noise. I don't expect a reply. I wouldn't know what to do with it if it came. But I needed to say the words out loud, if only on paper. I hope you're happy. I hope she never makes you wonder where you stand. M. No apology. No specifics. Just a reluctant acknowledgement, like a judge finally reading the verdict that had been obvious from day one. I didn't smile. I didn't burn it. I folded it once and put it in the drawer with the rest of her echoes. That's all it was now, a sound from another room I no longer lived in. They say time heals. That's a lie. Time doesn't heal. It just rearranges the wounds so you forget where they were. I wasn't healed after Monica, but I was recalibrated, stronger in the quiet places, sharper in the soft ones. I stopped trying to understand why she did it. I stopped making excuses for the version of her I married. That man, the one who stayed, who tolerated, who explained away late nights and locked phones, he's gone. Replaced by someone who doesn't negotiate his worth. I finally bought that painting I used to stare at through the gallery window. Abstract, cold colors, thick strokes. The guy at the counter asked if it was a gift. No, I said. It's a reminder. A reminder of what? I smiled. How much space I have now. Here's the part they don't tell you. Revenge doesn't have to be loud. It doesn't need blood or screaming or some grand finale where you set the world on fire while walking away in slow motion. The best revenge? You thrive. You live well without needing closure, without needing their validation, without needing to be heard one last time. You leave the door closed and bolted, and you throw away the spare key they never knew you had hidden. Monica expected me to collapse. She expected the usual script, angry text messages, begging, public meltdowns. Instead, I gave her nothing. No reply to her letter. No reaction to her stories. No audience for her guilt. And that silence? That was the loudest thing she ever heard. Because when someone builds their power off your forgiveness, the scariest thing you can do is stop forgiving. I haven't seen her in over a year. But sometimes, when the wind hits just right, I catch the faint scent of her perfume on someone else in the crowd, and I remember, not her, but the man I used to be. And I nod, grateful. Because I don't miss her. I miss the man I've become without her.